Back in October of 2021, I went to this guitar event where I got to learn about the work of a bunch of Portuguese luthiers with amazing works and pieces of art. I'm Portuguese, and I knew of the work of a couple of luthiers, but nothing really that caught my eye, and I later figured out that it was just me being dumb and not really cultured in these sorts of things. I have this older video which you can go check out all about it, and I think this is probably the first time that I saw some guitars with super tiny headstocks that don't look hideous. And that's where I first met Rui Silva. I had heard of his work, and I knew of a couple of musicians who had guitars by him. His Rui Silva Guitars, I had first learned about him because of his basses, but then a friend of mine, João Hudson, he got one of his guitars, and another guitar player I know got his guitar refinished by Rui, but I never really thought much of it. I mean, I thought his guitars looked cool, and I actually thought they looked way better built, way better designed, and way better fit and finish than your average luthier guitar, but his designs never really called out much to me, so I never really thought much about it until I actually tried some of his guitars. In fact, he even helped me out because he was like, yeah, come around, try anything you'd like. Are you a vintage guy? Are you a modern guy? You can see these videos in his page around the time of the event where I first got to try his guitars. Tu disseste para dizer olá à minha mãe, por isso olá mãe, estou no canal do Rui Silva, mãe. Even if you haven't heard of Rui Silva Guitars, Rui makes his own guitars and his own repairs, but the truth is he's mostly known for his painting skills and his finishing skills. He's like the master of dyeing your guitar or refinishing your guitar and making it have the most amazing color to perfection. There's a good chance that your favorite luthier might know of him. He actually works for a bunch of different brands who send him their guitars, not only for finishing but sometimes painting as well. And we're talking about brands and luthiers who are often way more known and have more reputation and will charge you significantly more than Rui does. I will again point you back to the older video of the guitar event where I first tried his guitars. Back then, Rui was, and still is to this day, an amazing guy. He treated me amazingly. He didn't really care if I had a bunch of subscribers or no subscribers, if I was a great guitar player or a not so great guitar player. He just cared that I liked guitars and he made guitars, so let me have you try my guitars and tell me what you think. No second intentions, no mind games or trying to propose me deals on his guitars so that I would leave the event with one of his. And even while talking one-on-one, he was always super approachable and accommodating of my more nerdy, in-depth guitar topics and conversations. And when I noticed that he was doing some social media work, he is really amazing. And I gotta give some other props to Rui because he also has a YouTube channel. He also struggles with sometimes talking in front of the camera, and even some behind the scenes luthier community and guitar community projects. And he was invited to some guitar shows already. He has won some awards, I think. I was so impressed that I even noticed that he had a t-shirt with his own branding on it, and that's when I asked him, hey, can I buy a t-shirt from you? Do you have t-shirts on your website? And even to this day, in a very weird fashion, he told me, yeah, I have some t-shirts, but I'm not going to sell you one. I'm going to send you one. And don't get me wrong, I'm a nobody now, but I was even more of a nobody back then, and I was super touched that he would just do something like that. I mean, it's a t-shirt, it's not anything expensive or crazy, but it's just that thought process of like, yeah, I want to buy a t-shirt from you, I want to support your business. And he was like, nah, I'll get you a t-shirt because I think you're a cool guy. If you want to support my business, then you'll just be wearing it, and when you go out, it's going to be advertisement for me. We've actually had mostly friendly arguments about this specific topic over the years. In some ways, it actually became a bit of a meme in our friendship, and it's not really like I doubted him at any point, but I just assumed that he wouldn't really remember to send me a t-shirt because he's a very busy guy, and he has way more things to do than just send a random guy a t-shirt. But around the next time that guitar event came along, and he knew he'd be seeing me again, he actually messaged me the day before being like, hey bro, what's your size of t-shirt? And I was like, oh, you don't really have to do this. You don't have to get me a t-shirt. Let me buy it from you. And he insisted that, again, he would not sell me a t-shirt. He just wanted to know my sizing. And hey, that's the t-shirt I've been wearing this entire video. That just goes to show you a little bit of his character. And later on in September or October of 2021, I actually called Rui and was like, I kind of want to talk guitars with you. So we scheduled a call and talked for a couple of hours actually, and I told him about the idea. I'm pretty specific about the things that I kind of know I want and I know I want to do. I also want to be working with someone that's not going to bullshit me and tell me that that's a good idea when it isn't, and I want to be working with someone who will tell me the pros and cons of a specific spec or part and be straightforward and honest when it comes to these things, because I'm just a guitar player, I'm not a guitar builder, and I'd rather you tell me and explain to me why we shouldn't go in a specific way and what would actually be more suggestible. When we were talking backwards and forwards and sharing ideas and suggestions, I would come up with an idea to which you would then stop and think about and tell me very straightforwardly, give me a little bit of time to think about that and research that and make sure that we get that right, which is honestly something that I appreciate deeply. Like an easy example of that is the radius of the fretboard, because my telly, like most tellies and most Fender guitars, has a 9.5 inch radius. It's no 7.25, but it's still round. I then told him that I didn't really like super flat fretboards, like when he mentioned that he usually does 16 on his personal guitars. I told him that the lowest I would probably feel comfortable with when it came to a 6 string would be a 12-inch radius, and originally I told Rui that I would be wanting the 9.5 radius. And there you go, there was a moment there where he just straight up told me, I can do the 9.5 if you want to, but I'm not gonna recommend it to you. And here's why I'm not gonna recommend it to you. When you have a 7-string neck, because the neck is slightly wider, you end up feeling a little bit more of that curve, which kind of makes it a little bit harder to set up than a regular 6-string guitar, but that isn't really the issue as much as it is when it comes to bending and even the tremolo stability. I can't give you any guarantees, but I'm pretty sure that by going for the 12-inch radius, when you play the guitar, you won't really feel like the radius is going to be too flat as maybe it does on some of your other guitars, because it depends on a lot of different things, not only neck width, but also neck shape. And while I'm not going to tell you that it's going to feel just like a 9.5, I would bet that on your 7-string neck, it's probably going to feel in between the 9.5 and the 12. And so we compromised by going for indeed a 12-inch radius rather than the 9.5. And wouldn't you know that the man with his wizardry was actually right. The 12-inch radius does indeed feel a little bit more round than it usually does on other guitars that I own. So in that aspect, I was really happy to have found someone who can give me this sort of advice that is not only based on theory, but also experience, and also being able to understand what sort of player he's working with and his preferences and why he might gravitate towards those specs and settings. And since I already have a Strat, I already have a Tele, I already have a Les Paul, well, back then I had, now I don't anymore, and I know you don't do replicas of other guitars, let's try and do something together with some of your shapes. I showed him my Tele and told him straight away I wish my Tele would have a 7th string. But since that's not possible, I want to take every single detail and spec that I love about that guitar, but improve on it on things that I think we can. And well, at first, thank you for watching this video. This is just a section of the bigger video of the review/demo of my custom Rui Silva guitar. If you'd like to learn more about it, please click the full video and consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and stay tuned for more.